Well, hello to everybody. Here is Teresa Sanderson. As always, very excited to connect with you for another episode of the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight. And today we got an awesome guest for you. I want to introduce you to Mr. Robert Davis.
What's up, all?
Yeah, Rob is a good friend of mine, and he is actually the owner of RxIV Infusions and does consulting as well to help other nurses get started in that space. So, Robert, I just want to take a second and welcome you to the call. Thank you for sharing time with
Thanks
me
so
today.
much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Now, for those of you who don't know Robert, I've had the good fortune of getting to know him a little bit here and there over the last year or so. And he focuses in his IV hydration business on weight loss services and IV infusions. And also, as I said, in that consulting space of helping other nurses get started with that. As far as his background goes, he's been an RN since 2009 and has a diverse background working in things like cardiology, emergency medicine, as well as nursing leadership. So really solid background. He holds a couple of graduate degrees, as well as 3 board certifications. Wow, overachiever.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I love it. Love it. And he also volunteers as a firefighter. So thank you for that. I mean, that is awesome. Now, one very interesting fact about Robert Davis is that he started his IV hydration business during COVID, when probably most of us were hearing things like businesses are failing, people don't know how to handle what business anymore in light of COVID. So I love that. And I know we're going to talk about that. But he opened his own IV hydration company, IV therapy company, and in 3 years has been able to grow to multiple locations. So and that is again why he's also in the consulting space. So again, Robert, thank you for joining us. I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you. I'm really excited, and to hear about myself like that gives me a little goosebumps and chills. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So love that. So tell us a little bit, we went over a little bit of your history, but tell us a little bit about, what your history was like as you got started as a nurse, and those environments that you worked in, because it looks like you worked in some fast-paced, critical care spaces. How did that
Yeah.
go for you?
So yeah, so I guess a little background is I guess we'll give away my age. In 10th grade, 9/11 happened.
Okay.
And I just knew I needed to do something to help people. It was very, very helpless time, especially as a teenager. Both my sisters are social workers, so they help in that sense. And I just needed to figure out what to do. So I thought I'll join the volunteer fire department. So I've been doing that for 20 years now.
Wow.
Started out my journey majoring in psychology, and then one of my ex-captains was like, "No, you need to go into nursing." And I'm like, "Guys aren't nurses, like that's silly." And then I found out that he was a nurse, and I'm like, "All right, well, we'll do that." So literally the next day I applied to nursing school, and very fortunate to be able to become a nurse. And there's definitely ups and downs in the nursing profession, but as my career progresses, I get to see that there's many different options. So I did start out as a new grad as a telemetry nurse.
Okay.
I do love the adrenaline rush. I quickly went to the emergency department, and then my career kind of switched or shifted to leadership, where I became an assistant nurse manager of a tele unit, then a nurse manager of a tele step down unit, then a director, and now I'm finally back home in as an emergency department nurse manager, while operating and owning 2 side businesses that do take up a lot of time with that as well. So but having those experiences have definitely helped me in this space, as well, to be level-headed and realize things don't happen overnight. The same with medicine as well.
I love that. And so just to clarify, you have a couple of different sites for your IV hydration business, and you continue to work in a full-time role at a facility?
Yeah.
Wow. Impressive. And I think it's important to shine a light on that, because a lot of nurses worry about, how can I let go of the side of the pool, my traditional standard steady Eddie income, and we remain shackled by the idea that I can't do both. There's a book I'm reading right now that talks about how can you have both, and always focusing on any situation to figure that out. So I love that. And what do you find has been maybe key to your success? And I know this wasn't on our list of questions, but since you're working this way, I would just love for you to share with our viewers, Robert, what do you think is key to you being able to do both?
So first and foremost is obviously having a supportive family. I'm very blessed to have the wife that I have and the kids that I have who understand whether it's volunteering for the fire department, going to work, or running out to do an IV, like that this is what dad's going to be doing and these are his career goals. Definitely 3 years ago during COVID and running a business definitely burnt me out, the candlesticks on both ends.
Wow.
But I have to say that the next step of a real true success, and I think for me, I'm a little bit more fortunate because of COVID, and you don't really hear people say I'm fortunate because of COVID. But one, clients not wanting to go to a hospital setting and providing that in-home treatment, but at the same time, I am very blessed with the staff I had. When I started out, I had maybe a handful of nurses, and now I'm up to 20 nurses. And I have 3 of them that, because of COVID, are not technically full-time, but they kind of give all of themselves to me to help, operationalize the business so that I can focus on providing for my family, working full-time. I would love to pull my hands off the side of the pool, but, unfortunately, with health benefits alone, there's certain gives and takes you have to do. But, I see a lot of questions like, I just want to leave the bedside, but hopefully eventually I will get to leave the bedside. But, you might have to put your time in where you're, giving a little bit of both, and hopefully you have that support. And I'm just very fortunate that I do have that.
What an excellent answer. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I think, that's another thing about it, is that every entrepreneurial experience is going to be different because everybody's needs are different. But that's the cool thing, I think. We're really blessed and fortunate to have so many opportunities in nursing, whether it's PRN, part-time, full-time, heaven forbid overtime, right? But we definitely got options in nursing. So I just love that you are taking the path of doing what's right for you and your family, what works for you guys as a unit. And trust me, I'm definitely there. If I had a house full of little ones, my husband and I had 5 children. So it might not have been a thing for me back in the day. So definitely something to consider. So all of that said, I love all that history, but what drew you into the world of entrepreneurship? What was the tug that led you down this path?
So I've always had this knack for wanting to own my own business. I don't mind putting the work in. I give 110%. I'll work 80, 100-hour weeks. But, I want the effort that I'm putting in, I want it to be the success and the growth of my business. I think I'm very fortunate in life. So I've had a couple of ideas of wanting to open businesses, just didn't work out. And then pre-COVID in 2019, a friend of mine decided to open up his own IV hydration business. And I was like, okay, I could use some side cash. My kids are going to private school, will help. And then during COVID, he decided to go a different route. So with permission and amazing guidance, I asked if I can go on my own. I thought it was really simple. It's not. There's a lot of boxes you have to check off. And, even being 3 years in, I'm still making mistakes. And that's why I opened up the consulting business, because I've made tens of thousands of dollars of mistakes and I don't want others to do that. But it's really, what I experience is that people think overnight I'm going to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's just not a reality. You need to have a goal and a timeline. Thank God I'm not hitting my goals as quickly as I would have liked, but my ultimate goal is my kids will grow up, married, kids, whatever, and my wife and I can travel the world, but still run this business from anywhere in the world. So I could be in a beach and with my laptop and, be a passive income. So that's really the ultimate goal, so that I don't have to put in the 80-hour weeks. I can put in 10 or 20-hour weeks, Exactly.
Love it. Love it. And, that's something that I've been focusing on a little bit more this year. And, you and I were talking before we started the interview, and my journey has been a long one. I've had great successes, massive successes, like with the hospice in the early 2000s. But the struggle for me was to transition those skills to the digital space and really learn, how can I market in such a way and reach people no matter where I am? Fast forward 10 years, I'm there.
Right.
And my business fits in a backpack. And that's what I really want to teach nurses about. And I think so much of what you're saying is like, you definitely have this end in sight vision of, eventually I want to let go of the bedside. Eventually I want to let go of traditional nursing and just manage another thing I love is your already scaled business, because you're scaling at the same time you're growing, because
Right.
you don't have to be hands-on in the whole thing, which is something so many struggle with, is how do I let go of some of these tasks to other people? So I have no doubt that's gonna come pass for you. So but I think beginning with that end in mind and knowing the lifestyle that you want more than anything, because otherwise as entrepreneurs we can just create more jobs.
Right.
Don't do it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Love that. So tell us, IV hydration, very trendy right now. A lot of people talking about it. You see it everywhere. I've been to Vegas a couple times in the last year. Oh my gosh, it's all over Vegas. But yeah, we know why. But tell me, how do you serve your clients?
So on the business side of things, obviously we want the best experience for them. So we'll go to their homes. We have 2 locations in New York. The second location, was on a whim, and it's based on customer feedback. But I think the way you serve your clients, whether it's in a traditional setting or as an entrepreneur, is really that bedside manner. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a bed. It could be a chair. It could be poolside,
Yep.
whatever it is. But, I'm once again, I keep on saying how fortunate I am with the staff I have, is that, they just eat and breathe the mission that we want to accomplish. And, the feedback we get is just unbelievable. And, I joke with my wife 3 years ago, she was anti me opening up this business, spending the money, taking more time away. And, seeing where we've grown over, 3 years is just, to this day, I even just talking about it now, I get goosebumps. Like,
Love it.
who really thought little old me would be able to, why would anyone trust me? Who am I?
Yeah.
And but you're right, the competition is it's getting stronger and stronger out there, and it's really, that is your number one struggle, and that's why you have to offer different services. You have to listen to the market out there. Your clients will be very open with you, and you need to try to accommodate the best you can, and that's why we started offering the weight loss services.
Okay.
I did see some success with certain family members on it, and we wanted to jump on the bandwagon, but we had to do it correct. And my business partner,
Love
who's
it.
a medical director, I joke with her that she's the yin to my yang. She's very meticulous, very strict with her license.
Yeah.
For me, I would just be injecting everyone just to make some money. But you really need to have either a partner that's going to keep you grounded, or you need to do some internal looking into yourself to see, can you, manage both sides of it, where you need to make money because you got to pay bills and you got to pay employees, but you don't want to cause harm to anyone. So we provide that services. We listen. There's some clients that are going to say, I want XYZ. I'm like, that's great, but we don't offer that. We're not going to switch
We're
gears.
not the one for you.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it took me a long time to say that, because $100 profit is $100 profit. But
Right.
if you stay true to yourself, that word of mouth is amazing. And we're not the cheapest on the block, but we're not the most expensive.
There you go.
I think people will spend a little bit extra knowing that their friend, they're this, they're that, used and had a positive experience.
Oh my gosh, so much gold in all of that. And yeah. But I think it's so important to recognize, that I'm not the be all end all for every person, right? No matter how hard I try, I will never be able to satisfy every single person on the planet. And that goes back to, we all have a certain tribe. There are people who are going to vibe with us and people who are not. And it's funny, my own business coach. I think everybody knows I am just an advocate for having coaching or a consultant or somebody guide you through new processes. But I continue to work with business coaches regularly. And we talked the other day about how I get asked all the time, Teresa, I know you can help me with nursing continuing ed. Can you also help me with continuing medical education? What about social work? What about physical therapy, occupational therapy, blah, 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 all these things. And I said, and I was telling to my coach about it. I said, wouldn't it fit in, to my overall plan if I want to have this CE solutions group? And they're, Teresa, what if you had a chocolate cupcake stand? People are going to come in and say, I want strawberry cupcakes. I want vanilla cupcakes. I want butterscotch, whatever. And at some point you do have to say, this is me.
Right. It's a great
analogy. This is my zone of genius. This is and I said this yesterday when I was talking to someone about it. I said, for me to be able to show up with excellence in this space, I have to say no to all the rest of it. And that's like you say, it's a tough spot, tough decision to make initially. But yeah, I think just, that realization is huge. Yeah. So think about those cupcakes.
Making me hungry now.
So tell me, what do you enjoy most about working for yourself, having your own business?
Honestly, seeing the fruits of my labor, but at the same time, being able, I think you mentioned earlier that being an entrepreneur, you give yourself more jobs to do, but I'm very fortunate that I can create jobs for nurses out there that unfortunately, due to some regulations, can't work bedside, and I'm able to provide for them, for their family. And then, I'm not going to lie, at the end of the day, making money is always a good feeling. And to be able to, we spoke before we started, how, you're finally going on vacation, right? So my wife and I, my kids and I, we never really did it because always had a budget and, make sure. So to be able to give my wife a cleaning lady once a week or, go on that vacation to get away or whatever it might be, at the end of the day, it is a business. So I definitely appreciate that, but I'm happy that I can give on one end and also receive the fruits of my labor as well.
Oh, I love that. And I think so true. We nurses tend to really struggle over the idea of selling anything, selling ourselves, selling a product, having somebody pay for a service, largely because we've never been compensated right in the hospital. And that's that's a whole other thing. But, nursing being built into like the room and board rate in the hospital has just pretty much told us you don't charge for nursing, right? So that's been ingrained in our thinking, is that it's not a billable service. We are so less than, when in actuality, nurses have an incredible amount of skills. And when we hang out our shingle, we find that people are willing to pay for those services and the education and training that we have, and having it a different way. So love that. And I love that you're able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And also the idea that you said out loud very comfortably, and making money is always a good thing. It is. Good people do good things with money.
Right.
It's not a bad thing.
Right.
You can give more, you can do more, share more. Love it. All right. One last question for you before I give you the stage. And I would just like to know, what advice would you have for all of the nurses that you and I both know are out there, wishing that they had something else that they could fall back on, feeling burnout at the bedside, wishing that their career could offer them something more? They think about starting a business. They may have been thinking about it for a decade already. What advice would you give those nurses?
Honestly, you just got to go for it. I love my wife. My wife loves me. She wasn't, an advocate for this, right? So if you truly believe in it, you'll make believers out of them. And, I did that with her. And I'm sure there were a lot of people out there thinking that I in myself, I didn't think I could do this, and then when we were talking about opening up our first location, no, it's not going to be successful. And thank God it's amazing. And then a second location, like, what are we doing? And, it's really, it's scary to spend money. I'm not going to lie. So definitely do your due diligence. In my consulting side of things, I've met with companies that aren't even open yet. and they've already spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars, and they're missing some key elements. But I guess my message is you've been at the bedside, whether it's 1 year or 50 years, you have a knack that you are confident in. If you're not, then you have to, build that confidence up, but what you can offer. And, even once you get that first client, it's going to be nerve-wracking, but you know what you can offer. So just be confident in yourself. If you're an ER nurse like me and that code comes in, I was away from the bedside for 5 or 6 years in leadership, and then I was so excited to get back. It was really like riding a bike. You know what you know. So just, I know I'm repeating myself, just be confident, go for it. And there's a ton of resources out there. There's so many Facebook groups alone that want to offer so much free advice. Some people can be obnoxious, but there's always people like that out there. But there's really, so much out there to support you and build your confidence. And just go for it. Honestly, what's the worst that could happen is that you attempt it, it doesn't work out. Obviously, don't spend more money than you can afford at that time. It's something that's very serious. But at least you can say you tried, and I hope you're I hope you're more successful than I am. Honestly, to this day, I still think it's very surreal that I own my own business.
Oh my gosh, I just love that. I love hearing all the gratitude in all of that as well. But a massive call to action there for any nurses who've been teeter-tottering on starting a business. Just go for it. It does come down to that. And, again, I'm from the Midwest. And so if you ask an old farmer, when's the best time to plant a tree, they're going to tell you 20 years ago. The next best time is right now, today. How are you going to feel next year if you're in the same position? You've done nothing differently. How's that going to feel, Whereas you can step out, hey, win, lose, or draw, something's going to happen.
Right.
But at least you'll know.
Right.
At least you'll know. Yep.
And you'll be pleasantly surprised at your success.
And isn't that the truth, though? You win or you learn. Nothing's a loss. A failure is not a loss.
Right. I agree with you. Like I still make mistakes on a regular, and some of them are costly mistakes, as I mentioned, but I'll never make that mistake again.
Exactly. Once bitten, twice shy. Yep, I can do that. All right. Robert, I have so enjoyed this time with you today. I want to give you the last few minutes of our time together to just talk with our audience about a little bit more about your products and services, how they can connect with you, and any special offers that you may have. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So first of all, thank you, Teresa, for giving me this time. I actually do really enjoy talking with you. Your voice is very soothing and calming. So I appreciate that in general.
Thank you.
So the services that we offer are IV infusions. I am very proactive in offering advice. Most of the time it's free advice, something that is more in depth. Once again, we all like to make money. Time is money. But you can definitely check out my website, RxIVinfusions.com. Steal or copy whatever you want from there, within reason. Look at my social media, RxIV Infusions, just to get yourself some creative ideas. Social media is a big key component. The landscape is forever changing, obviously, with hashtags and all these other intricacies that I don't know about. But if you're really serious about going down the route of entrepreneurship, my focus is IV hydration and weight loss. So I do have my own consulting. It's Robert Davis Enterprises. There is a social media account for that. And once again, I don't need your money. I have a ton of free videos on my Instagram account for Rob D Enterprises. And then, if you need some time to talk, I'm more than happy to give as much free advice as I can. And if we need to do a one-on-one session, I try to be the cheapest on the market when it comes to this, because really every single penny counts. And I can almost guarantee, even with me or any other consulting person out there, you will make a mistake. So if I can save you a penny here or there, it definitely goes a long way.
Love that. Love that. Oh my gosh. I really, really appreciate that. It's such a wealth of resources. And I think, you and I are very aligned that way of just leading with value. Let people know what you have, what you do, but so much value added, content. Anything that we can share, just throw it out there if it's going to help somebody advance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Now
So
I just got to build my confidence and pull the trigger with you to do these CEs that I've been working on that I want to get done. I know we met a
oh
year
man,
ago. I'm that's where I'm struggling in my confidence. So even someone who's been successful still struggles with themselves. But that's my next endeavor, and I'm excited for that one.
there you go. There you go. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, this is going to conclude our interview for today. I want to thank you again, Robert, for joining me here, sharing your story with so much candor and so much wisdom. So appreciate you. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. And to everybody who's been watching, I want to thank you for being here. And we'll see you next time on the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight. Bye for now.
Bye.